Thanks for tuning in to the Palm Beach Podcast, a weekly show highlighting people making a positive impact in our community. With your hosts, sports chiropractor and athletic trainer, Dr. James Spencer, photographer and art director, Mike Jones. Our show is brought to you by Pump House Coffee Roasters, Hopportunities in Delray Beach, and the Lotus Travel Company for retreats and tours in Palm Beach County.
Hello and welcome to a pop-up Palm Beach podcast. My name is Mike Jones. Dr. James Spencer, how are you doing today?
Always a pleasure to see you, know that.
We're at the beautiful Aloft in Delray Beach at the Hospitality 2021. Special guest with us.
Fortunately, we finally got you in the house, Scott.
It's been a couple months. We've been going back and forth.
Yeah, so thank you for coming on.
No problem at all.
And if you would, just introduce yourselves to the guests and the listeners and, give a little brief rundown.
So I'm Scott Eddy. My background's investment banking, but now I'm very involved in the hospitality, tourism world, and much more on the digital and social side. I do a lot of different things. It's very hard to put a label on what I do. I'm just a human trying to meet other humans and do cool stuff along the way.
You know, that's what really attracted me to your content was the human-to-human connection, which people may not value as much anymore. And the relatability of that is when you can create the human-to-human connection, it develops something bigger than yourself. And when you have a lot of people that get that vision, I think it's very priceless.
I mean, if you just concentrate on making the connections in the world and meeting good people and surrounding yourself with good people, I think organically things will happen. Business-wise, you'll just go in the right direction in life. And everything else, fate takes over, you know?
I like that.
Well, and it works out for you because you like red wine. And so now you're in the hospitality world and you meet the right friends. I saw your Instagram live last night. What are they, over in Napa Valley or something, trying to get you to come back out?
Yeah. We actually have the CEO of Charles Krug Winery coming on the conference, which is shockingly right next door to us.
Shucks.
Yeah, guys, so we're here at the Aloft in Delray Beach. Tell us a little bit about Hospitality 2021.
So, as I said, I do a lot in the hospitality world, and I've had a lot of friends absolutely get decimated during this pandemic. And I wanted to help and I wanted to do something about it. But listen, there's a lot of little things that you can do, but what is a big way that you can help the whole industry? And basically you get other people to help other people. So we put together this conference and I purposely did not go after a title sponsor. I didn't want to bow down to any brand. I wanted to have it all just give. I didn't want to take anything. So what we've done is we've got some of the biggest names in the hospitality world globally and some of the smallest names. And I wanted to know a couple different things. What happened when the pandemic hit? Obviously you got crushed, but how did you get crushed? Okay? And how did you survive? And how your mindset has shifted moving forward, because innovation was basically forced on a lot of companies that, let's face facts, were not innovating in the past.
Sure.
They weren't as aggressive as they could have been on social. They weren't as aggressive as they could have been in marketing. And innovation basically said, hey, use me or you're going to die. So I want to know what that shift was. And when you tell me how you shifted and you tell me how you shifted, it's not going to be the same thing. And you can learn from him and he can learn from you. Now imagine 10 different countries, 10 different industries within the hospitality umbrella talking about that.
Sure. Well, and I saw the first talk this morning. They were talking about the cruise industry where they've been really good at sanitation for a long time. It's like their forte. They literally make a ton of food and they're like stainless steel everything.
But they get crushed. Every time the media opens their mouth about the cruise industry, they get crushed.
And they're experts at sanitizing.
Right.
It's
and they're still getting crushed, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's coming back. And let me tell you, the few cruises that have went on sale for like 2022, 2023, they're selling out in minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Minutes.
Well, it's like what Dave Portnoy said when this all started. He said, "I'm going to invest in cruise lines and airlines." He knows it's going to come back.
Of course it will.
You
And
know?
He's buying low.
It's going to
Exactly.
annihilate the 2019 levels.
Sure.
Correct. I agree with you. And to enjoy the experience again, human to human connection, cultural diversity, good food, and people just want to travel.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
and we both come from hospitality restaurant families, so we know what breaking bread means. It's more than just the meal, right?
Right.
And so when we saw you were doing this, any way that we could help promote, be a part, share the message, because we know lots of people in the restaurant world that lost almost everything or it all really this year. So I think it's great where you can say, hey, everyone can learn from each other. Let's all share some stories. So kudos to you, really, to organize all this. And these are your friends too, right? A lot of the people speaking.
So it's really funny. Everybody who's speaking is a very close friend of mine.
That's beautiful.
So I was fortunate. I didn't get one no. So the first 23 people that I asked said yes, and then the days were full. So we might be doing another one in like a month,
That's awesome.
because I still have to continue down that list,
Well, and we love lionfish. So when we saw Craig was
Oh,
speaking,
yeah, Craig's
we were
speaking
like,
tomorrow
okay.
morning.
Yeah, because Click is a great group,
They
right? And we went to their opening, which was pretty in the midst of COVID, like right when the Avs started to open back up.
Sure.
And I felt so comfortable and safe in their space, and we have chopsticks with our names on them over there, so
It's pretty cool, right?
they do it right.
They do.
So thank you to them for sure. And the food there and the experience. That's the one thing that I noticed more than anything is the camaraderie between manager, employees. Everybody just had this palpable energy of being a part of something bigger than themselves. And that's special.
Yeah, I mean, listen, anywhere could have amazing food. If you don't have that great person serving you, if you don't have that great atmosphere, I mean, the food's always going to come down a notch. I would rather have the food at an 8 and the atmosphere at a 12 versus food at a 10 and atmosphere at a 5 any day of the week.
Yeah, I like that. And your experience of travel, cultural diversity, living in different countries, obviously gives you a little bit of that credibility to say, well, I've had good food here,
Right.
and it's really more about the experience.
It is 100%. So I lived in 6 different countries in Europe and Asia for 17 years, and it was a tremendous experience. So living in Thailand for 11 years in Bangkok, that was the game changer. That changed my whole mentality on life, how I choose my friends, everything, A to Z. Because I was coming out of a world in the investment banking world, 10 years surrounded by egos and assholes, and then go to a country where Bangkok, you could fit like 6 Manhattans inside of Bangkok. That's how big the city is. But everybody's kind. Everybody's warm. Everybody's friendly. And it was like, it blew me away. I didn't know, I grew up here. The bigger the city, the worse the people, the worse the crime, the worse everything. You have to go to a tiny town for everybody to be kind to each other.
Sure.
That shouldn't be the case.
Correct.
You're the most powerful country in the world, and that's still the case?
I love Bali, which is sort of in the same realm.
Sure.
But they believe in karma in a major way.
That's all of Asia, though.
Yeah, so I've always felt very safe and welcomed, and like people will give you their last grain of rice.
Yeah.
No joke,
Yeah.
And so I love.
Yeah, that's not just an expression. That's literally...
That's true, right?
And that's what traveling will teach you, right?
Right.
You learn a lot about yourself when you travel, and the culinary experiences are always my favorite. Like going to a hole in the wall somewhere, drinking with the locals is absolutely one of the best things. So,
What was the big shift for you to make the corporate America jump to traveling and more the digital space?
So I'll tell you that. So they closed my firm. They sold it. In my mind, they closed it, and a lot of people resigned, including myself, in '99 January. And my friend's friend was an expat living in Bangkok, and he's like, "Listen, you're 29, you've never been to Europe, you've never been to Asia. Come and visit me. You don't have a job now." And I'm like, "All right." So I bought a 2-week ticket, and it just blew me away when I was there. After 4 days, I called my mom. I said, "Send my stuff. I'm never coming home." Hardest phone call I ever made in my life.
Sorry, Mom.
My mom wanted to kill me.
Sure.
So I lived there for a couple of years, getting acclimated, really learning the region, making friends. And then social media came out when I lived in Bangkok. So if anybody knows Southeast Asia, social media is big here. There, it's on steroids. Wow. So if you do one post today here, they do 15 over there. Like, it's crazy. So just for an example, when Instagram first came out, the most Instagram place on the planet, 3 out of the first 4 years, was in Bangkok.
Wow.
So that really, basically, it was like a slingshot for me into that industry, because my friend said, why don't you start a digital agency? And I didn't know what those words meant. I never went to college. I never went, like, I was a C- student. I was lucky to graduate high school. So I ended up starting one, and it turned out to be the first digital agency in Southeast Asia.
Wow. And
we were the biggest for 5 years. But all I did was just hire really smart people. And I watched them for 5 years. And we were basically the go-to digital agency for the tourism industry. Cool. So when all the hotels were entering Bali and all the islands in Thailand and Singapore and Macau, we were the agency building out their digital strategies and things like that. So then I sold it and built up my personal brand. So now I have the same digital agency infrastructure, just my phone is my office.
Sure.
I don't have the brick and mortar lease payment, rent every month, and 37 full-time salaries, and just all the unnecessary expenses.
Well, and you learn.
You learn.
And same with the hospitality. Trim down the fat.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
If it's not serving you at this time, let's see what we can clean up and improve.
100%. And that's what a lot of people did or should have done during the pandemic. I did it. I completely rebranded my whole thing. New website, new logo, new services-ish, new relationships. I signed with a new agency. So who I partnered with in Hospitality 2021 was the Intercom agency, which is one of the largest creative agencies in Florida. They're in Orlando. And they really did the foundation and graphic design and all the tech side that I'm not familiar with. So they worked very closely with my video team, and they have another agency here in Fort Lauderdale, DNC, and Hospitality 2021 is a success. I mean,
beautiful.
Because of that infrastructure. But if you don't have those relationships in place, you have nothing.
Feels great to be back at like an in-person event, guys.
It really does.
Walk in there and see people speaking and having a cup of coffee.
And you can do it safe.
Absolutely.
We have everybody spread out and nobody's on top of each other, and it's great.
Well, and you're offering the live stream as well.
Correct.
So for the people that want to stay at home, there's your option.
I think hybrid is going to be huge, huge, huge moving forward.
I was just going to say that because you can make more money, obviously, doing it with the online live streaming content. Right. But the in-person connection,
I'll never get away from it.
Me neither.
I'll never.
I'm with you.
This is too important to me.
Yeah.
I was very upset, sad, angry, all the words the first few months of this pandemic, because it was like, I'm used to doing this every day of my life in a different country every week.
Yeah.
And I went to zero trips, zero income, zero everything, like 90% of the people in the world. But I mean, it has to come back.
Yeah, it will.
It has to. But it's going to be that hybrid. A lot of people aren't going to want to be around a lot of people.
Well, and I think too, we saw some double standards this year where like Costco, Target, Walmart, those guys were all fine. They could still operate. But the people on Delray, on the Ave down here, like maybe couldn't open their doors for a while.
Sure.
So it just sucks to see that like some businesses were allowed to do things in a safe manner. And then like the middle class, which is the backbone of our economy, was really wrenched, right? So we'll see if everyone can learn from this. I'm excited to hear the rest of the speakers next door through the next 2 days.
That's good. We have some good people coming up. Really good.
So give the listeners and the viewers a way to access the content, find you online.
So you just got to go to Hospitality 2021 on any channel. We're streaming live on the Facebook page, and I'm at Mr. Scott Eddy. I'm super easy. That's my website as well. And
Beautiful.
easy.
Scott, you're the man.
I'm all about being easy.
I know that's what you said when we were setting up. You're like, whatever's easy.
Yeah, like
Beautiful.
Because people take the path of least resistance. So you might as well make it easy for them. Give before you take.
I love that.
And you'll be successful.
I think that's a good message to end with.
Yeah, Scott, it's a pleasure. Glad we finally got you on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Seriously.
Yeah.
Anything I could ever do to help,
You're the
I'm
man.
down.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
All right,
Cheers.
guys.
All right.
You. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Palm Beach Podcast. Our show is brought to you by Pump House Coffee Roasters, Hopportunities in Delray Beach, and the Lotus Travel Company for retreats and tours in Palm Beach County.